I can see that both your parents are working in the private sector, isn't it? Your father is holding a key position in the private sector, so is your mother. Then who inspired you to join the civil services?
Meghna, you're a master of politics and international relations. What do you understand by politics? Do you see some common point between interpersonal relationship and international relationship?
What is Congress in US?
Recently, Supreme Court has come out with its decision over the cruelty against the animals. So what decision was that?
In case you fail to clear this examination, how will you utilize your current degrees and find a job for yourself?
May I come in?
Yes, come in.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Please be seated. Please give a brief introduction about yourself.
Yes, sir. My name is Meghna Chakravorty. I'm from Kolkata. I completed my bachelor's in history from St. Stephen's College and my master's in politics and international relations from JNU. Since then, I have been preparing for UPSC. My hobbies include reading and painting, and I used to debate in college.
I can see that both your parents are working in the private sector, isn't it? Your father is holding a key position in the private sector, so is your mother. Then who inspired you to join the civil services?
So actually that came from me only when I initially felt inspired to join the Indian Foreign Service because of my interest in international relations and politics. But it was during the COVID-19 pandemic that my classmates, professors and I were involved in volunteering and relief efforts. But we used to discuss amongst ourselves that no matter what we do here, we can't substitute for the role of the government in welfare states, which motivated me to join the IAS as my first preference because it allows me to mix both my personal aspirations and meaningful work.
I can also see that you have added many feathers to your cap. You have been a debater, you have studied mental health issues, then you have also studied something about the rural, done some research in the rural areas, interest in Russian literature, painting and so on and so forth. So tell me, starting with the debate, I'll give you, and you have opted for PSIR as your subject. The freedom of speech and expression is very important for any Indians and more so for a student who has studied PSIR. Give 1 minute speech on freedom of speech and expression.
Yes, sir. The freedom of speech and expression has been called by many political theorists as not just an asset to the individual because it helps one develop their own thinking and promote self-growth, but it is also absolutely necessary for society because it's only when multiple views are aired in an atmosphere of freedom and mutual understanding that society itself manages to progress. There are so many practices that have been outlawed over time, whether it's slavery, whether it's the right of women to vote, and all of this has been a result of different forms of free speech, which promotes the overall progress of society itself.
Okay. Talking about the freedom of speech, recently you must have read in the newspapers that one of the stand-up comedians, he stated something which was not liked by the society. Do you call it a freedom of speech?
So it is freedom of speech, but in any society it must always be balanced with other concerns. And the fact is that in India we understand freedom of speech perhaps a little differently from the West. The balance between individual rights and group rights is different in India, because of which matters like obscenity or vulgarity in freedom of speech and expression perhaps becomes a bigger issue in India because of that consensus that exists about the need to respect societal sentiments. So I think this is more in regard to a legal lacuna that also exists with regard to regulation of OTT platforms and social media. So the courts have taken action about this, and I think we should have a law in place to make sure that any such action does not become arbitrary, that there are certain principles and protocols of laws that are followed.
So don't you think that we don't have dearth of policies in our country, but policies don't work, laws don't work?
Sir, I think they do work because this is an evolving area of the law, because communication has shifted to such a great extent to the digital realm in perhaps just the last decade or 15 years or so, which is why I don't think the law has adequately caught up to the current situation. And apart from that, I think whether it's civil society organizations, self-regulation within the media and within the influencer community and all is also very important.
You are from Calcutta, isn't it? And you have studied in Delhi.
Yes.
It's generally believed that as far as women's safety and securities are concerned, Calcutta is considered to be, Kolkata is considered to be a much better place compared to Delhi. What are your views?
I would say that is true, sir. On a personal level, I would feel a little safer to be out on my own in Kolkata. And while in Delhi, I think the city itself is built in a very different way. There are large areas which have flyovers and less human population in like areas. There are dark spots, while Kolkata is more densely populated. So I think you'll find people around in most areas, and which helps to like feel a sense of security.
Anything to do with the cultural ethos of the...
Yes, also the cultural ethos. I think that if someone were to notice a person misbehaving with a woman, I think in Kolkata it would invite an immediate backlash or condemnation from other people in society, while in Delhi I'm not sure to what extent other people would interfere. There was that case of the Shahbaz Deri murder case that it was captured on video.
Exactly. Talking about the rarest of rare cases, it's a judicial doctrine, isn't it?
Yes.
And is related to death penalty and all that. Taking a cue from the RG Kar verdict, do you think that this case is a fit case to apply the doctrine of rarest of rare?
So I actually feel that this doctrine itself is subject to wide interpretation and subjectivity as to what becomes the rarest of the rare, what shocks the conscience of society itself. I'm actually unsure, sir, if the death penalty is a fit response then, because the court itself is trying to limit it.
Don't you think that the Supreme Court should lay down strict guidelines? Yes, because there's a general guidelines like is heinous, brutal, and you're shocking to the collective conscience of the nations and all that. Sir. These are very general terms, yes, generic terms. Should not Supreme Court get into the core of the issue and bring out the circumstances clear-cut under which this rarest of rare punishment should be imposed?
Yes, sir, I believe so, sir, because there were multiple cases in West Bengal even after the RG Kar incident which got the death penalty, but this particular case didn't. And this leads to wide-ranging like subjectivity. So I don't
What
think...
is your personal view? You know, you are aware of the incident. Should not this concept of rarest rare be applied in this case, looking at the whole incident?
So I'm actually not sure, because it appears that there is an assumption amongst people that perhaps the investigation could have been done better, and which is why there may be more perpetrators involved, which is why handing out the death penalty at this point would not actually solve the issues. Even the parents of the victim have said that they would actually prefer further investigation in a thorough manner, in a non-partisan manner, over just the death penalty to this convict, and I think I agree with that.
Thank you very much.
Meghna, you're a master of politics.
Yes, sir.
And international relations. What do you understand by politics?
So politics is related to practices in society around power in society, about who holds it. We commonly talk in modern society about governmental power, which is the legitimate, organized, supreme authority of the land. But even apart from that, politics is also about social groups who hold powers and the interactions between them.
And what do you understand by politics in relationship? All kinds of different relationships?
Yes, sir. As a feminist would say, the personal is also political. So there are power equations even within relationships.
So what kind of equation you enjoy with your mother?
So the equation is one it's the way Indian parents behave, in which there is a lot of love and affection, and also which may sometime at a younger age be perceived as control or interference. But I think over time in life it leads to greater freedom, because it helps you become a more capable and mature relationship, which you understand over time. So that power dynamic, I think, affects you more when you are younger and a teenager rather than when you are older.
Constitution of India, particularly the fundamental rights, have made the younger generation more and more aware about their own power. Yes. And they are asserting that power with respect to their own parents, to begin with their mother. So, and of course, they are enjoying more power with respect to mother and father. What kind of trend do you see with the growing power equation within family, its implication for the social organization and subsequently in the political organization?
So I don't think the increased awareness of rights necessarily needs to lead to a weakening of relationships within the family. I think it can actually strengthen the family instead, that sometimes even parents should understand that children do have minds of their own and they also need to be understood instead of being dismissed and explained to sometimes, and those conversations need to happen more within, whether it's between parents and children, whether it's between partners because nowadays women also have their own aspirations in life which need to be accommodated within relationships. So I think an increased awareness of rights leads to better social relationships. And
do you see some common point between interpersonal relationship and international relationship?
So common points in the sense that there is, like you said, a greater awareness of these trends, and all over the world, perhaps these were to an extent a result of liberal democracy being spread as the model, which led to not just the rights framework but even a normative framework around the world of upholding individual autonomy itself. So in that sense, yes, it has something to do with the unipolar moment in the world after 1991 and the spread of liberal values.
Okay. Your father is heading a very big organization and a particular process. Have you discussed with your father what kind of function he is performing within his job, and do you understand what is enterprise process management?
So from what I understand, that they have several clients around the world who reach out to TCS to make their processes more efficient. So whether it's through the increasing use of technology, whether it's AI or any other technology right now, then these consulting firms will help them manage, whether it's client sourcing, whether it's different forms of marketing, or just the process of delivery of their product or service. So in all of these steps, they manage to help them streamline the process of business management.
TCS is also emerged as a multinational company. There are so many multinational companies from USA, European countries, maybe Japan also. It is said that this growing power of MNCs is undermining the power of an authority of a state. Because you are a student of politics, you have done master from JNU, and which follows basically the Marxist structure of analysis. So how do you see this claim or allegation?
It is true to an extent, sir, that with MNCs, the locus of power in society shifted from just being centered around states in the international realm to several other people, because many MNCs today have far more resources and reach than several countries of the world, which increases their influence on politics. So whether tariffs are increased or reduced, or what kind of policies are made to welcome investment, labor laws, environmental laws, they can influence all of these cases. And this has especially been promoted by organizations like the IMF, World Bank, which in return for financial assistance, they tried to promote structural adjustment programs in the world, which promoted the entry of MNCs. But they have also been beneficial in many ways. It has provided new opportunities for work. And now it seems that the states are striking back in the world, and we can't discount the importance of whether the personalities who head states, their laws, that now they are imposing greater curbs in that manner.
My final question, Meghna. Why do you think America has changed its policy with respect to Ukraine? Is it under pressure of some MNCs in America?
I'm sorry, sir.
Is it under some pressure of some MNCs?
Sir, I don't think it would be MNCs. I think under the Trump administration, they have reevaluated what they see as risks and threats to American foreign policy, and they don't see Russia as a threat to their core interests, which they identify as economic and technological. And perhaps the other reason is that because they want to break the Russia-China no limits partnership, they are making overtures to both Russia and China to perhaps see who would bend first in that regard. And that has promoted the change, and they would rather seek critical minerals, rare earth minerals and resources within Ukraine, rather than become a very integral part of the security architecture with boots on the ground in Europe. So that is the shift in core.
Fine, Meghna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meghna, I am sure you must have read about the DOGE, that is the Department of Government Efficiency in the US administration. According to a latest finding by this department, an amount of $21 million was being spent to increase the so-called voter turnout in India. Who do you think this money was being given to in India?
So I think it's concerning that no one has answers for that so far, that if this money was coming in from an official agency from the US, then and voter turnout should be funneled through the Election Commission or through the government of India itself. So I'm not sure who it was going to, sir, and I think any citizen of the country would just want to know that even if it's possible that for elections that are held on such a giant scale, the Election Commission needs resources, staff, and there's so much that goes on that money may have been necessary, but there should be a proper accounting of exactly how.
Okay. What is Congress in US?
The Congress is the legislature at the federal level.
Okay. The Congress consists of popularly two bodies, that is called the Senate, and the other one is House of Representatives. Are you aware of the composition? Like how many members are there?
Yes, the Senate has 100 members, 50 states represented by 2 each, so equal membership. And the Congress has 450, I believe. Or
435.
435, I'm so sorry. It's unequal based on the population of the states.
Okay. So, the US Constitution mandates that the Senate should advise and consent to the executive appointments of the public importance. But in India, the Prime Minister, which heads the cabinet, takes the absolute charge in finalizing these appointments. Do you think we should develop a similar mechanism on the lines of the US and India also?
Yes, sir. To some extent, I believe that's just because of the difference in political system, that in a presidential form of government, because it's only the president being elected, he has actually absolute authority, and then congressional or Senate approval is one check. While in India, because all the ministers themselves have to be elected and they have to be members of the parliament, then there's already a legislative check in that regard. When it comes to any approvals, I think it could be for other matters like signing on to international treaties or agreements, or just a review of any such participation of India within international conferences, which UK and other countries also have. So I think that is something we could have.
Okay, so this brings us to a very fundamental question. If you were to compare the powers of the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of India, who do you think is more powerful?
So that would be the President of the United States.
United States, right. We talk about amending the certain provisions of the Constitution. Certain quarters of the population are of the opinion that the Constitution must evolve with time. Do you think that such an evolution is required? And if yes, then which sections of our Constitution do you think should go for an amendment?
Yes, sir. A constitution does need to evolve with time, because even our constitution makers realize that a lot can change in India. We are promoting a country which has a long history of colonial rule, mass poverty, into suddenly giving everyone the right to vote, and that process of democratization will lead to changes. In terms of what should be amended, I think we need some changes with regard to the federal structure right now. I'm not saying exactly how it should be, but I think whether it's regard to the lists in the 7th schedule or like specific powers with regard to the governor, etc., these matters could just be put more in a clearer manner in the constitution. And secondly, because we're talking about parliamentary decline often in the country, I think the number of sittings in parliament and even should the ante should be increased.
My last question to you, what is this Panchayat to Parliament initiative?
Sir, I'm not sure of the initiative.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, sir.
Okay, Meghna, you seems to be very concerned about the animal rights, and you have written many articles also on that.
So it's just one paper that I co-authored. It was an academic interest.
Anyhow, you must be knowing about the PETA, na?
Yes.
What is that?
So it's a group which upholds animal rights all over the world, people for the ethical treatment of animals, and they oppose any non-consensual or forceful use of animals. So they would be against the use of animals in cosmetics, for treatment, for medical science, or animals in entertainment, food, the fur industry, etc. So they have a presence in countries all over the world where they oppose such.
Okay, recently Supreme Court has come out with its decision over the cruelty against the animals. So what decision was that?
So was it about the elephants in Kerala?
Suppose it's all about Jallikattu or Kamalam.
Yes, sir. I am not sure about exactly which judgment, sir, is this. As far as I know, that Jallikattu is operational right now in Tamil Nadu. Even this year it was held because that initial verdict on that matter was overruled. And now, because there is a tough balance in India between the cultural and religious rights of the people and animal rights, so it's there's a fine balance that is maintained between the two.
See, corruption is a very serious issue, and under Prevention of Corruption Act, the Lokpal entry is very new. Tell us about something, the Lokpal.
Yes, sir. The Lokpal was instituted after the India Against Corruption movement headed by Anna Hazare and others. And the objective was to have an ombudsman for the government, like Sweden and other Nordic countries, to investigate cases of corruption at the highest level. So the jurisdiction of the Lokpal extends to the ministers, even the Prime Minister himself, and officers of the government, Group A, B, etc.
Who is the Lokpal?
Right now it's Khanvilkar, former Judge K.M. Khanvilkar, I believe, right now.
Anyway, see, when it comes to the one nation, one election, and it's going on in news, then do you think that it is in the interest of the nation?
So there is definitely an interest for the nation within it, because we do see that constant election cycles do distract governments from the core task of governance, because we see ministers and MPs, MLAs, everyone campaigning in campaign mode. It also leads to the rise of divisive issues in society often, which become electoral blanks for all the different parties. And apart from that, the cost of elections has also been raised as a big concern. But on the other side, sir, although I do think these reforms should be brought about, one concern that I do have is that in India, democracy is often reduced to the representative principle. So if people are only going to be meeting leaders once in 5 years, then that reduces perhaps their link with their leaders, and there aren't any alternate avenues of democracy at present. So if simultaneous elections were to go through, I think then the third rung of government, the local governments, should further be strengthened.
You comes from West Bengal. So what are the reasons behind getting less investment in West Bengal? And
yes, sir, there are.
What would you be doing if you become a bureaucrat in terms of suggestions?
Yes, sir. There are several reasons. One is perhaps an image of the state as not being business or investment friendly because of several matters for decades in the past. Another reason would be the lack of adequate investment in road infrastructure or just infrastructure in general, which hurts business. Third would be the land acquisition policy, because the government does not interfere in the process, and the project proponent needs to negotiate with each of the landowners personally, which increases costs. So if I were in charge of the process, then there is already a process of land pooling. I think I would take that forward in a much more vigorous manner to create land banks and industrial clusters, SEZs within the state. And apart from that, spending more on infrastructure. And the summits are already being held, but I think I would take a more streamlined manner as to which industries particularly do we want to target to play to our strengths as well.
Meghna, you have an impressive educational background.
Thank you.
And you are from Humanities. Tell me something, apart from civil services, let's say you or somebody else who comes to you for advice and has a similar background in Humanities, what will be your advice for them with respect to a job perspective apart from giving any competitive examination?
Ma'am, I would advise that person to go for research, because I think the society needs a lot more research, and at a time when we are talking a lot about technological research and we need that in society, I think it needs to go hand in hand with humanities research as well, and people increasingly need to have an interdisciplinary perspective, a deeper understanding of socio-political issues, rights in a time of AI and fast changes. So I think research would be.
Do you think there is actually a job market regarding the same and somebody can get a decent salary considering a humanities background in the research sector?
Ma'am, I think that definitely needs more reforms, and I'm personally, by speaking to my friends and others, I'm unsure about the draft UGC guidelines, which have removed the limit on contractual positions within the government. Although the regulations have several other positive factors, I think this may prove to be a disincentive to talent within the country, because if they don't have job security that is assured to them, then they may not pursue a career in this field. So I think we need to look at how we faculty recruitment processes, their pay, their working conditions, to make sure they have more time for teaching and for research than for administrative tasks.
Okay. In case you fail to clear this examination, how will you utilize your current degrees and find a job for yourself?
Ma'am, I believe I would like to work with a think tank then, with either in the public policy sector or in the international relations sector.
Okay. So since your background is from history, undergraduation, can you tell me the difference between Indian and European feudalism?
Ma'am, as far as I remember Harvansh Mukhia's article on this, it has been contested whether India even had feudalism, because the European model is the one that is followed, where there is a delegation of authority where the king may be the ultimate ruler, but there are lords and other who have their own fiefdoms, and then there are the rest of the population. The serfs may just have the land, but they are a part and parcel of the land, and when the land passes from one lord to another, then even the serfs are being transferred along with it. In India, that is the issue, that exactly it has not existed in this form, although since the Gupta period and the Satavahana period, we do see an increase in land grants, and there's epigraphic inscription and record of that. But I don't think the structure was like the European one.
Okay. Can you identify a World Heritage Site from your state and elaborate the same?
Yes, ma'am. Shanti Niketan has been declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it is in the Birbhum district of West Bengal. It was established by the Tagore family. Over time, they had the land. There was a fair which is still held over there, the Posh Mela. And then it was under Rabindranath Tagore's initiative that a school and a university was established over there. So it is a place where studies of art, science and music, etc. goes hand in hand. Like there are different bhavans over there, the Kala Bhavan, etc., where people learn even now, and the kind of education that is promoted is very different. It's creative, it's held outdoors, and the ethos of education and learning is very different.
All right. Can you identify a type of folk painting from your state and tell me about its features and origins?
Yes, ma'am. The Pottochitro paintings are a form of folk paintings common to both West Bengal and Orissa. The origination of it was that these are painted scrolls which were used by traveling bards and singers as a form of storytelling, that they would be unraveling the scroll and singing and telling the story at the same time. Over time, this painting then shifted to the Kalighat school as well, where some of these styles were adopted, and then it's not a scroll anymore. There may be just like on paper, small pieces of it, and they took on socio-cultural critiques, whether it's power equations between husbands and wives and contemporary gossip and other events of the time. So the form, both the form and the medium of the art changed over time.
Thank you.
Meghna, do you think Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose has been assigned a rightful place in the history?
So I do believe there could have been more outlining of him in history. But from what I remember, right from the younger classes in school, we had a separate chapter on Subhash Chandra Bose and the INA, and we did study a lot about it. But it's true, as the government is pointing out, that there were several strands to our nationalist movement that we sometimes don't remember. So whether it's the efforts of the INA or even the INA trials and everything that happened after 1945, there are many such specific events that we could learn about more.
Could you share with us at least two key differences of opinion between Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and Mahatma Gandhi on the issue of freedom?
So the first would be the means versus ends debate, in which Mahatma Gandhi believed that a peaceful struggle also influences the kind of state that we will establish as an independent country, while Netaji believed that right now we must use any means at our disposal, and to dislodge a colonial power, a strong one at that, like one would need to be organized in a military way ourselves. So that is one. The second would be regarding the kind of a state, where Mahatma Gandhi wanted or favored a decentralized state with Panchayati Raj institutions and cottage industries, labor, while Subhash Chandra Bose was a socialist by orientation, so he favored heavy industry, nationalization of land and a strong state which would be a very crucial part of the country's development.
Give us one specific reason why we should select you.
Sir, I believe I'm very conscientious about my work, and whenever I want to do something, I believe that I try to do a job well done instead of just ticking the box or somehow being done with it. And I hope that that quality will serve me well in the services.
Well, thank you very much, Meghna. It was nice interacting with you. The interview is over. You may go now.
Thank you, ma'am. So may I come?
Come in. Sit down, Meghna. Your interview is on 4th April.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Which attempt is this?
Second attempt.
Second attempt. And first interview.
Yes.
So, how was your experience with us today?
So it was good, but I feel like I could have answered a few questions better. So I wasn't sure which judgment you're talking about, and also I'll look into those
A lot of time
matters.
is there. You see, basically what happens when you go for the interview, personality test, must remember that this is a personality test, not the test of your knowledge per se. Knowledge has already been tested through earlier examinations. You are called in person, and a board will interact with you with a view to know you as a person, what kind of personality you are, because you are going to be inducted in the civil services. So whether you are a fit candidate to be inducted or not, that is the basic purpose, underlying purpose is that only. And a civil servant, like any other service, needs to have certain qualities, isn't it? The first quality is your personal integrity. So integrity is one thing which should not ever be compromised. So you should never ever compromise with your ethical values while giving answers. So honesty of purpose has to be there in all your statements. Meaning thereby you should not be giving any answers based on conjectures and surmises. Otherwise, if you don't know, it doesn't matter. And there is no end to improvement. You can always improve upon your performance. But by and large, our assessment is that by and large, you handle all our questions very well, honestly, and to the best of your abilities. That is how it should be. A lot of time is there. If you go question by question, there are so many areas where you can tell you could have been more forthcoming in this and that. But I'm not going to tell you all that, because you see, number one, what questions will be asked is anybody's guess. Nobody can tell you that this question will be asked, that question. Basically, whatever questions are asked, just to understand you. Number one, whether you have understood intent of the question or not. Number two, whether you are giving balanced views on so-called contentious issues or not, isn't it? And third is your communication skill. Whether you are able to communicate your ideas confidently and clearly or not, isn't it? And whether you are argumentative or a non-argumentative person. These are 4 or 5 basic qualities, besides amongst other things, 4 or 5 basic qualities based on which your personality will be judged. In the little interaction which we have had with you, you have all those basic qualities in abundance in you. So interview is not going to be a problem for you, and in the process you will be getting very good marks in the personality test, no doubt about it. It all depends on how you have done in your mains examination, but interview will never let you down.
Okay, sir.
1 month, more than a month's time is there.
Yes.
Area is very difficult for us, because you see, your DAF itself is so much of variety is there in your DAF that I don't know, questions, maybe that not a single question is asked on history or political science only related to DAF, isn't it? Rural, urban, you have worked on your produced paper on, I believe, rural this thing, no?
Livelihoods.
Yeah. So broader issues about the rural-urban divide, migration, impact of migration, what the government has been doing about bridging the gap between rural and urban, what is rural scheme and all that, that could be one area. Another is your Russian literature itself, which we have not asked you a single question on that.
Yes.
So there's somebody who is interested in Russian literature, he may grill you for 5 minutes on Russian literature itself, isn't it? So some famous authors, Dostoevsky's work, what is the theme of that work, so on and so forth. So many things are there, and they may lead you to the larger issue of Russia-Ukraine war. So what are the, when you, after 1991, what happened between the two countries? They were going fine for a long time. Where it went wrong? The issue of NATO, the issue of territorial disputes and all that, your Minsk treaty and all that, those things may come up for discussion, arising out of just Russian literature only, isn't it? That is another area where then you have painting, you have so many other things. Debate is one thing. So debate, general questions on debate or some issue may be given to you and you may be asked to speak for a minute or so on the issue. But I don't think there is going to be any problem handling those issues. Mental health is another big area of concern, because this is one area which has not been addressed properly in our country.
Yes.
Of late, this area is emerging now. So why it is still a much maligned term, mental health? Why nobody is talking about mental health issues? Whereas the fact remains that a lot of us, be it a younger generation or older generation, suffer from mental issues, and what the government of India has been doing about it.
Yes.
Then another issue is your center-state relationship, particularly you are coming from Bengal. So discordant notes between the two. So what are the areas of this thing, like you must have read about general consent of the CBI and all that. So what is general consent, where does it find place, and why time and again this is. And then Bangladesh, what is happening, because West Bengal is very close to Bangladesh. So latest political upheaval in Bangladesh and its consequences on our international relationship. This may bring you the other issues of Tista Accord issues and all that. So, and then North Bengal, South Bengal, why your Siliguri area is still backward as compared to Calcutta area and all that. Some questions related to those may be there. Prepare all the areas which you think are expected areas. Still, you never know. Questions may come from unexpected areas, but you are able to handle those questions well. Santiniketan is another area where we wanted more from you on Santiniketan, but it's okay. I mean, because at least you are aware of the issues. That is a big thing. You are aware of the issues and you could interact with us on those issues. Then political science student, about our Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's, why does she win all the elections despite your allegations of corruptions, violence and political coercion, isn't it? Why does she win? So those questions you should be giving very balanced views on that. So you are not supposed to be taking a very views which is considered outlandish, isn't it? Otherwise, good candidate, have faith in yourself and go with a positive body language, smile on face,
Yes.
and you'll do very well, no doubt about it. If you have any questions to ask, feel free to ask us.
No, sir, you've actually covered the sentence.
All the best.
matter.
Do
Thank
well.
you so
Do
much,
well.
sir. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.